Push it live. And what's up? Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. For more than a decade, we have been bringing value to the mortgage industry every Tuesday, 9 o'clock. Always the goal is to put on the mortgage industry's best sales meeting. We've got an amazing community of mortgage professionals, an amazing community of leaders. Glenn Bill has been bringing leadership to Mortgage Coach. Glenn, how many years has it been since you and I first met at that Fairway event and you started loving on our crew and bringing value? How many years?
It had to be 10 years ago, would be my guess.
Yeah.
So had to be 10, and my first appearance on here was probably 6 years ago, would be my guess.
Yeah. So for more than a decade, I saw Glenn Bill, and it was truly one of the most powerful. It was inspirational. It was tactical. It was exactly what loan officers and realtors need to hear. Glenn was a high school football coach for over 25 years, and he's been a top producing real estate agent in the Indianapolis area for decades. And he's a sales trainer, and not just a sales trainer. He's an inspirational speaker. Him and Jeffrey Gitomer have done a lot of amazing things together. This call is going to be a little different because he brought Gary Brackett into the Mortgage Coach community earlier this year, and it was amazing. Gary is a former Super Bowl champion. Not only did his team win the championship, he was one of the co-captains of that team. And he's just got a lot of amazing leadership. I would highly recommend anybody that resonates with sports, anybody that, understands and loves the metaphors of success of sports and how they apply to business. I'd watch both of his interviews. They're both on the YouTube channel. But Gary, thank you for coming on again to help us close Q4.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm really enjoying your community, and what a great group of guys to be on with.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And anybody that has been watching the NFL this year, not only how many games have been won and lost in the fourth quarter, how many games have been won and lost in the last 2 minutes, the last minute of the game. So there's a lot of game left to be played in 2022. And there are people that are winning 2022. And, my goal is to make sure that if you tune into our YouTube channel, you tune into our Facebook group, you believe what we believe, that advice is the most powerful tool for mortgage and real estate professionals, then put your seatbelts on. Glenn is going to interview Gary, and they're going to help us close the year strong. So Glenn, I'm going to hand it off to you. I'm going to jump off the digital stage here. I'll come and go. Like, if I have something to say, don't stop talking, but just know that, hey, when it's time to take a breath, let me say something.
Cool. Well, thanks so much again for having us, Dave. And it looks like we got 39 people on right now, which is awesome. I see the great Tom Ginn checked in. So really happy to have you, Tom. And I put this out on Facebook to our group. So you guys are in for a treat. I'm telling you that many of you know me from the University of Attitude and my podcast, the Get Attitude podcast. I was fortunate enough to reach out to Gary and interview him. And what I found out was Gary's story is probably very much relatable to many people in the mortgage industry, where things weren't handed to him. You eat what you kill. You weren't handed things. But what I also found out about Gary is he's one of the smartest people that I ever have interviewed on my podcast. The guy is a brain. He graduated from the University of Rutgers. He is a influencer and a marketing genius and expert, and helps people grow their real estate and mortgage businesses by branding, by doing ClickFunnels, and by doing email marketing and lots of other stuff. After Gary and I were on the podcast, I said, this is a person that I need to bring into the University of Attitude as a coach. And Gary is one of our head coaches. And together at the University of Attitude, we are creating content and programs for salespeople, small businesses, and yes, loan originators. Our program is called Don't Be an Order Taker, Become a Playmaker. And we're not going to sit here and sell that to you, but that program is going to be available to the mortgage coach professionals that are on this call and in the future. So Gary and I did 2 awesome interviews at Mortgage Coach that were raw, they were real, they were more inspirational. And I'm on every Mortgage Coach call, and the Jeremy Forciers and the Todd Bookspans and the Deborah Birds and the Dave Savages. You guys all have unbelievable folks that are leading you in the Mortgage Coach community. But sometimes it's good to get outside feedback and outside training and outside perspective, because sometimes it's tough to see the picture when you're inside the frame. And maybe, just maybe, our hope is in the next 40 to 50 minutes, as we talk with Gary, he's going to give you some really, really good ideas and concepts and strategies on how, when he was playing at a Super Bowl championship level with the Indianapolis Colts, with Peyton Manning and the unbelievable Tony Dungy, how they looked at the fourth quarter. And maybe, just maybe, you might take some of these thoughts, some of these attitudes, some of these strategies and go, I could apply that to our mortgage business. I will then, after Gary gets done talking and presenting his information, and I think I'll walk through it. He's got 5 important points of the fourth quarter. Gary will present them, and then maybe dialogue after each of those. I'm just going to give you 3 really big concepts, 3 attitudes about the fourth quarter and how it might help you not only in your mortgage business, but hopefully in your life. And so get ready, hold on, because Gary is so passionate and so fantastic. He is here to help you, and I hope that he gives you some ideas and some stories that are going to be really fun. So Gary, with that said, welcome to the Mortgage Coach. We're so excited to have you. And your topic is finishing the fourth quarter strong. And let's just go ahead and take point number 1 and introduce what you're going to be talking about today. And certainly if people are in the chat and they want to ask you questions personally, hopefully those will come up and in the chat, and we will be able to address those. So without further ado, the one and only Super Bowl champion, Gary Brackett. Gary, tell us what you got for us today.
Man, I'm extremely excited to be here today. I'm gonna go a little bit off the script, man. This is real music, NFL, Monday Night Football. I don't know if you can hear that right now, but if any football fans are in the house, baby, it is the fourth quarter. Put your 4 fingers in the air. That's what it is. Fourth quarter, baby. It's time to come out, time to dominate. I can remember in the NFL, that's how we kind of always wanted to start the fourth quarter, is by putting those 4 fingers in the air, letting everyone know and signify like this was it. And I love it. I love the fourth quarter every single year. And typically there's a few different people. Typically those people that are losing in the fourth quarter. So I have something for them. Some people are winning, and some people are just right there. They're still in the game. And I think no matter what side of the coin you're on, I think there's a strategy for you to finish out this year strong. I can remember going back into my football career, my first season with the Indianapolis Colts, 2003, we went back home to play Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this was Coach Dungy's birthday, going to Tampa Bay after 2 years being removed after he won a Super Bowl. So it was a lot of turmoil. Monday Night Football, huge game. And we come out there, we want to kind of get revenge for our coach. We love Coach Dungy, and we lay a big fat egg, right? I mean, we are stinking it up. I mean, in fact, one of our defensive players catches an interception, starts running it back, and one of their receivers strips the ball from him and runs it back the other way and scores a touchdown. Glenn, I don't know if you remember this game, but anything that could happen did happen to us during that game. But you know what's crazy about that? We got to the fourth quarter, and we were down at one point 35-14 with 4 minutes left, and we were able to come back, go into overtime, and win that game 38-35. Now, the crazy part is it was Monday night, and it was probably about 1 o'clock in the morning by the time that game was finished, so a lot of people were asleep. So there's people that still debate me on whether or not we won that game, but we did. And that's my mindset at all times. Like, until the clock says 0-0-0, that you don't know what can happen. And that's my number one point, is anything can happen in the fourth quarter. We don't know where interest rates are going to go. We don't know buying inventory. Obviously, there's a lot of data out there, but there's always some funky things that happen. So that's why my mindset has always been, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So it's the fourth quarter. You can't just automatically assume that something's going to happen or it's going to continue to happen, right? You just have to position yourself to be ready to take advantage of any opportunity that comes. And I think we were able to do that, and chunk by chunk, we were able to get back into that game and get a victory, which was huge, a statement game for us, and really set the tone, if I will, for the rest of our career. I mean, I was first year rookie 2003, and we went on in that decade of football. We won the most games in any decade of football, more than Dallas, more than San Francisco. And I think that game was really the pinnacle of that, because that was our mentality. Like, never die, never surrender. If there's time on the clock, then just position yourself to be successful. So that's what I want to share with you today. One was the fourth quarter. We got 90 days. It's time to position yourself for success. It's time to kind of finish through 2022.
I love it. And you said, give me that quote again. I love it. You don't have to be ready if you stay ready. Is that right?
You don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
Okay, there we go. Right. That is
So,
a good one.
Yeah, so that's my mentality, right? So are you ready? And I think that's very important. The second point I got, and this is for, again, we won a lot of games. And oftentimes there was teams that was us, right? They had terrible games in the fourth quarter. They were trying to come back. And for us, our mentality, and I used to hate, I'm going to be honest with you. I made a team on special teams. And after my third year, I became a starter, didn't really play special teams. And we had a special teams coach. He needs to always say this. And Glenn, you coached for a number of years. And this is the for life. Don't get bored doing the right thing. Don't get bored doing the right thing. And it sounds so elementary. Like, what does that even mean, right? But football is blocking and tackling. Like, business is calls, follow-up calls, right? It's showing up. It's the meetings, right? And that's so important when you're winning and when you're ahead. It's not time to get cute. It's not time to get fancy. It's not time to take your foot off the gas. It's time to not get bored doing the right things. And I've been around a bunch of successful people, multi-million, billionaires even. I've just been blessed in my lifetime. And that's one of the things that I always see from them is their consistency. And then no matter what, no matter whether there's a recession, no matter whether it's up times, no matter bad times, there's opportunities at all times. So if you stay consistent and don't get bored doing the right things, you'll be able to get through this fourth quarter and you'll be able to be strong.
I love it. I love it. And so I think you did a nice job of explaining what the right things are. And sometimes it's good to take an inventory of maybe you think you're doing the right things, but you're actually not doing the right things. And that gets back to this thing that we call, is it true? So I want to encourage, number one, that to go back to Gary's point on number one, that you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. Is your mentality in that fourth quarter a person that you stay ready? You're ready for the increased interest rates. You're ready for low appraisals, which could be coming back into our world. Are you ready for new guidelines from the lenders? Take an inventory on what is changing in your mortgage and your real estate business. There are changes that are coming. Real estate agents are starting to negotiate inspections, which have never been done before. Sellers are having to give up $10,000, $20,000 on list price, which has never been done before. Lenders are changing the rules. Like, I tried to sell a first-time home buyer a double, and I just found out that it's a mandatory 10% down even for owner occupants. So the ball is moving, the rules are changing, and the question is are you staying ready each and every day? Are you waking up and are you being ready? And then to Gary's second point on don't get bored doing the right thing, I guess my only thought would be, so many people in our real estate and mortgage world think they're doing the right thing, but they're not getting the results. And I just think it's important to do that inventory that, are my pop-bys really working? Are my scripts really working? Are my direct mails really working? Is my social media engagement really working? There's all these different avenues that we're taking to list and sell real estate, right? Or to engage the real estate agent. And you know what? We're like in love and we fantasize and we we spend all this money on all these gadgets. I just got another, again, it's a, I mean, I hate to say this, I know there's a lot of people, but I got 8 different loan originators that send me, $1 trinkets that aren't going to get you business. And I mean, I don't want to crap on whoever's selling those or telling mortgage people that this is going to help you and help you stay top of mind. But everybody is obviously subscribing to the same trinket store to send me stuff, and it's crazy, and it's not going to get you things. So when I say take an inventory of, don't be afraid to do the right thing, some of you guys are doing the wrong thing and you don't know it, and it's time to take a ROI on what you're actually doing for the fourth quarter. Just as a offensive football team, Gary, or defense, they may be saying, we got to run this play, we got to run this play, we got to keep throwing the ball. Well, hell, if you keep throwing the ball and you're not getting first downs, you need to take an inventory. And if a defense is saying, oh, we got to keep running this blitz, and you're getting nothing from it, you need to take an inventory. So Dave's back on. Dave, I love it. He's like, I'm going to get off. But anytime Gary and I start talking football, Dave's like, oh, I got something to say. So Dave, give us your thoughts on the first 2 points.
Hey, as you know, Mr. Mortgage Coach, there's just a couple things that I want to share, that if you cannot do what I'm going to talk about in a second here at a level of excellence, you're not ready as a mortgage professional. There is a affordability crisis in America. And there was an affordability crisis before rates doubled and went over 6%. And so the crisis is more than ever. And if you're not able to help a listing agent navigate, how can I not have to reduce or minimize how much I need to reduce the price to sell it with affordability strategies, then you're not helping listing agents. And if you can't help a buyer help someone who's got sticker shock, whose payment gone up, navigate that, then you're not ready. And so there's 2 tactics. I want to make sure everybody's ready. This interview I did with Nicole Ruth, who's actually up for the year, where she's doing seller buy down strategies, and she's showing agents how to use a 2-1 buy down, how to use a seller buy down. Like, if you can't do this and you're not doing this, you're not ready in this market to win Super Bowls. You just aren't. You're not even going to get to the Super Bowl if you are not ready to do this. And then this date the rate, marry the house, divorce the rent. If you can't, and I don't care whether you like those words or not, they do work. It is an effective analogy. I've heard different mixed views on it. To me, anything that someone's going to remember and it's going to help someone understand the concept, I like that. And Jeremy Forcier is saying, hey, hey, home buyer, this is how the date, the rate, marry the house works. You notice in column A and B, I'm showing you, without seller credits, what it looks like. And I'm showing you with seller credits. So affordability strategies and talking about, hey, you're marrying the house and that price is fixed. Once it's done, you can't change it. But you know what? For the past 2 years, you got a better chance of getting the house you want right now. So while rates are up, you could fix in that house, and then your rate, you can date that rate. It's not fixed. It is what it is today, but he's future casting, what rates might be in the future. And that is helping an agent create personal clarity around what's going on. And then, guys, I don't care what anybody says, first-time home buyers are the target. Like, anybody that's got a 2% fixed rate loan or something in the low 3s, they ain't in no hurry to sell their home. So as the rates do come down, people that are in the 2s and 3s are going to be a lot slower to move up, and first-time home buyers are where it's at. So you need to be able to have that, hey, it's time to divorce your rent and really make a case for that consumer. This little strategy right here was a first-year loan officer. In my opinion, this is a first-year Super Bowl team. He's able to, this was a consumer that said, hey, I want to wait a year. And the realtor was bummed, I got a buyer, it's going to wait a year. And he was saying, hey, you could buy this 3-bedroom home, live in a bedroom. You could rent out 2 of the bedrooms. Again, this is a single first-time home buyer. You could rent 2 of the bedrooms for $650 and invest that with a financial advisor. And look at your net worth in 5 years. And this buyer was like off the fence, out of the 1-year wait zone, and into escrow. So here's the deal, guys. You're mortgage advisors. And if you can't be ready to throw down those conversations with the listing agent, a buyer's agent, a seller, a first-time home buyer, if you're not ready to have those conversations at a level of excellence, you ain't ready for the fourth quarter. So go get ready. We, got a few videos for you. So back to you, Gary.
Now that's amazing. I think all those are very good points. And it brings me to my point number 3, which was you got to review the tape. Glenn mentioned it that, the offenses that are either pass heavy or run heavy, defenses that are blitz heavy or that are cover 2 heavy, what will happen in the NFL? We would get a big binder about this big, and it will have all the measurements and all the data points from where you play that defense and your success on that defense. So for this, I just said review the tape. Like if you can measure it, you can manage it. And there should be metrics inside of your business that you should be able to manage and then uncover some patterns. And then when you see those patterns, the next thing I would tell you is don't be afraid to make an adjustment. Like if you're in a situation, what you have been doing hasn't been working, just like Dave said, you have to educate yourself on these topics that you're ready to be able to provide value for the realtor, provide value for the buyers. They feel more comfortable buying a home. And if you're in a position where something is an anomaly or hasn't worked, but it has started working, then maybe we need to double down, triple down on that thing and make sure that we're actually using the data that we're getting and making sound adjustments because of it. The worst thing that happens every single year, and I don't know if it happens in October, definitely in November and December, we get this age-old question, Glenn, when are you going to do something about it, right? And they said, well, we're just going to wait till next year. Wait till next year, right? You know what waits till next year? The people that draft number 1, 2, and 3 in the draft. That's the guys that wait till next year, right? Because they're never going to win a Super Bowl. They're not even going to make the playoffs, right? Because they're sitting there waiting, right? If you want to be a winner, if you want to have a chance of getting inside the playoffs, getting into a championship, there's no time to wait. Right? It's time to take action right now, right? If you're not ready, make sure you get ready. And if you're ready, make sure you're analyzing the data points and make sure you're taking massive action on what works.
I love it. So, Dave, thanks for that. Very, very good stuff. I'm a huge first-time home buyer and working our first-time home buyers, but I tell you, huge afford. I mean, my son is a first-time home buyer, and we just can't get anything under 200,000 now. And so we're working on buy downs and all that stuff. Things are starting to regress, and it's good. But first-time home buyers, I don't care what the rate is, they're always should be your target because they get you 6 deals in the future. It's like the future. It's like the lifetime value of a first-time home buyer is 20 mortgages over the next 20 years when it's all said and done, counting refis.
Hey, Glenn, let me ask you a quick question. I'm a big believer that, for, young, in their early 20s, the target should be buying a duplex, triplex, fourplex, and doing owner occs. What are your thoughts on that strategy? One, for all the parents on here, like that's the target for our kids. And then 2, I think both mortgage and real estate professionals, not only do we need to look at affordability strategies like buy downs, but we need to really look at, duplexes and triplexes and start using the total cost analysis to show that, hey, you could buy that owner occ triplex that's going to spit off, $1,000 a month or X dollars a month. And if you invest that with a financial planner, look what would happen. Or if you prepaid your mortgage, look what that happened. But we really start talking proactively about building wealth with real estate by, making your first property, duplex, triplex, fourplex. What are your thoughts on that?
So, obviously I'm big on that, but like we said, and I could be wrong, maybe you mortgage folks out there could tell me, but I believe duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes for owner-occupied first-time home buyers are now being considered investment property. And so they have now raised the down payment requirement on that. So just one thought.
Well, I do. So by the way, community, we got a bunch of baller lenders in here. Start sharing what is minimum down payment, what is the hit on that. I know it depends on different lenders, but let's get smart around that. And then also, if you're a mortgage coach and you've done a TCA where you're showing the wealth accumulation benefits of duplex, triplex, or house hacking strategies like this one that I showed you, put those links. I really want to get smart on this. Maybe even do some calls around this. But Glenn, we'll find out what the community has to say.
Right. Well, Melissa Engel, thank you. She said FHA you still can, but not conventional, which I find interesting. So Melissa, thank you so much. You maybe just saved my son a bunch of money, or me a bunch of money as a parent trying to help him get into his first home. So Melissa, you are a rock star. Thank you for that.
Keep it coming out there, guys. I want more answers.
Yes. So if you guys got it, let us know. Let's keep going with Gary. Gary, did we do number 3, make adjustments and review the tape? Yes, we talked about that.
We did number 3. So number 4, and it's just what you guys were just talking about, and it's just like re-engage the team. I think when I was in the restaurant business, 400 employees, 10 different stores, we would always say it's not an advantage if you don't take advantage of it. Now, these resources, these YouTube links that are in the chat, all these things are resources for you to continue to get better at what it is you need to do to continue to get ready for the fourth quarter. So if you're not re-engaging the team, if you're not taking advantage of this awesome community, then shame on you, because that's what it's here for, provide you with these nuggets so you could be better for yourself and for your family.
I love it. What are Gary, if you think about steps to re-engage your team, how did you go about re-engaging your team as a leader of your team? And how did Tony Dungy do that? When you talk about re-engaging, what does that mean? Or what are the types of actions that you would take to do that?
Yeah, I think oftentimes the message either gets foggy or the message gets lost throughout the year. And I think going to the fourth quarter, really just letting everyone know what exactly is that we're playing for. What exactly is our foundation? What are our values? What are we doing? Oftentimes what we found was we try to do so much. We try to have an exotic blitz, exotic coverage. We tried to hide and try to, and then when we really boiled it down, it was all about execution. We don't need to do any of those things. We need to just out execute people. So we had this philosophy of addition by subtraction. So addition by subtraction, we wouldn't do more, we would do less and just out execute people on what our strategies were.
I love it. Very good. So obviously for our loan originators and real estate people, that kind of gets into who are you and what are you about? And are you finishing the year the way you're starting your year? Because invariably we're going to be on here talking about how to start a year and how to start a season and all that stuff. But sometimes we drift, we become unfocused, and that is the reality. Now, I'm going to be giving you my 3 unique attitudes for the fourth quarter. But before I do that, we got point number 5 by the great Gary Brackett on how to approach your fourth quarter in real estate.
Yeah, I mean, point 5, Glenn, I think you're going to definitely hit on this. We talked about this last time, but one, goal setting. But then the second part of goal setting is breaking down your goal into monthly, into weekly, into daily tasks, hourly tasks, so that you could really just stay focused on a small amount of work. And then after you get done with that, then you move to the next, then you move to the next. And it's so important and it's so critical that you break down your goals into small steps, because oftentimes if they stay big and they stay large, they're almost overwhelming. But when we break them down, they then become obtainable. And then not only become attainable, you like, I get, every time I check off a to-do list, like it feels like I'm built momentum. It feels like I'm accomplishing something throughout the day. And I feel like that's so important for our brain to send that dopamine hits, because we actually had a plan, we're executing our plan, and I broke it down now. So now daily, when I'm marking off these tasks, right, I know I'm getting closer to my daily goals, which is going to get closer to my weekly goals, my monthly goals, and it's going to give me the ability to finish this fourth quarter strong.
Right. So mortgage coach community, hey, we're gaining participants. So guys, thank you so much for being a part and engaging with Gary and I. What I want to know is, what are your daily goals as a loan originator or a real estate agent on the call? My daily goals very simply were this: 20 contacts a day. 20 contacts a day from somebody that could sign a purchase agreement or a listing agreement. That's what it broke down for me. I didn't care what the biggest goal was. I knew if I called 20 people a day, even if they were good or bad or whatever, my numbers would hit. I would love to know, what are your daily tasks, your weeklies and your monthlies, that you lay out? If you can put them in the chat, or if we can forward them, it may just give people help. But selling is a contact sport. So is mortgage. So is real estate. And it's, for me, always about the contacts. So with that, Gary, thank you so much. I think, prudent advice. We always have advice that comes to you at Mortgage Coach where, it may seem a bit repetitive, but you should never ask. You should never say, hey, Glenn, I already know that. Gary, I already know. Break it down into smaller tasks. Well, the question that you really need to ask is, how good are you at it? And when you talk about being fuzzy, as you did in point number 4, oftentimes, you know what? We're not real good at what we know. And it's like, are you a loan originator that knows how to do 52 loans a year? Are you a real estate agent that knows how to do 52 deals a year? The answer is no. There's plenty of training out there. But if the answer is yes, and you're not doing it, that is the paradox that will crush you and cause you to lose this business. So the question becomes, why don't we do what we know what we should do? And that's the real question. We know what to do, but we're not doing what we know. And what's the reason why? And Gary, I'd love to get your 2 cents on this. Is, the reason I believe people don't do what they know they should do, number one, is because they don't see themselves as a person that's worthy or willing to receive the prize at the end of doing the activity. And number 2, they don't associate enough pain with not doing it. If I know that I'm supposed to be calling 20 people a day and I don't do it and I'm okay with it, then you know what? It's not painful. But when I associate, my kids aren't going to eat, I won't be able to pay my bills, I won't be able to send them to college, I won't be able to save money, I won't have financial freedom. If I can link pain to not doing what I know I should do, that leads to motivation, that leads to tipping the scales, that leads to leveraging your activity. And so my hope and my prayer for all of you is, if you guys know you should be making 20 contacts and 10 realtor calls a day or whatever it is, you need to start linking pain, because if you're not doing it, see, it's just too easy to not do it. Gary, what's your thought when you had a teammate that needed to do some things? And football is a lot more direct and a lot more physical. I just can't go beat the shit out of a sales guy. Like, on the football field, you can go hit them and knock them down, and it can get a little rough. But talk to me about the people that needed to be doing stuff and you couldn't get them to do it. How do you overcome that, or how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think one of the things you hit on was dead on. Is like, what kind of pain are you still going to be in, if you do nothing? And so often people get so comfortable in their pain that they just become okay with it. And I think deep down inside, they know they're a champion. They know they have something better. But I think it's that fear of the unknown that keeps them kind of handcuffed. And I think they have to remove yourself from that fear and start asking your question, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst that can happen if I reach out to 20 people? And the second thing is that so many people aren't convinced that this will actually work for them. They actually think that this can't be it. This is too simple to be it. Glenn, you mean reach out to 20 people? That's it? That's all you're telling me? 20 people? Yeah, right. So they reach out to what? 3 people, 4 people, right? And in reality, in life, and I see it all the time, like, don't get bored. That's it. That is it. If you're consistent, if you show up, if you break it down to chunks, and if you do those tasks, 20 contacts a day, you will have success. Not immediately, but definitely. And I think it's just being patient. And for me, I love this. I fall in love with the process, and I divorce myself from the outcome.
I love it.
I fall in love with the process. My process is getting up, making my contacts, working out, putting good things in my body, doing the things I need to do. Now the outcome, right, is not going to be immediately. I'm not going to immediately start, having closed deals, right? But eventually that will come. But I have to fall in love with the process and just forget about the pain that I'm going to go through, the fear that I felt. I'm just going to go fall in love with the process because I know this is the fastest way to the results and the fastest way to the dreams that I want to have for my life.
Yeah, I love it. And so many times, whatever your numbers are, yeah, sometimes you get lucky and you hit on appointment or call number 3, 4, and 5, and you go, I can stop, but you got to keep going.
Yeah.
But so many times, how many of us stop just short of the real victory? So many of us throw our hands up on call 17 and 18 when there's gold behind 19 and 20. And that's the FOMO. That is the pain. I'm going to do my 20. I'm going to do my 20. I'm going to do my 20. I want to go into my 3 unique thoughts into the fourth quarter. And I think, these are all introspective kind of, and I want Gary's comments on this. And number one, when you think about the fourth quarter, I think about October, November, December. And really in the real estate and loan business, and I know people are feeling this with the bigger rates and the lower activity, lower sales, it truly is our off season. Quarter 4, quarter 1, not as much business in quarter 2 and quarter 3. And so we were so used, especially in the quarter 2 and quarter 3, and especially for the previous 2 years, there was no off season, right? There was no off season. And I want our loan originators on this call and the real estate agents on this call to think about this concept of off season, because you know what? We're off. The real estate market is off in a down way, and the loans are off. The refis are totally off, right? And so having a productive off season can be very profitable. It can be very healing. And it can be something that, if viewed properly and engaged with properly, it won't be a waste of time. So many people, when we're in the market that we're getting ready to go in and continue to be in, they may throw up their hands and they won't get better. They may go, hell, there's no loans, there's no refis, there's nothing I can do. And what I want to do is ask you, do you have a plan for the off season? Some of you, because of the tempo of real estate, and me included, need planned rest. Some people on this call maybe have not taken a 2-week vacation where they're totally unplugged and they haven't celebrated. And my hope for you is that you identify 2 weeks and you get the hell out of the mortgage and real estate business for 2 weeks and just unplug. I guarantee you there's pro players that do that and beautiful things. The other thing I want you to do is to have a plan, have a physical plan. Maybe this, I understand the only time we have to eat is the time to drive through the fast food restaurant. We don't have time to work out. Do you have a physical plan? Do you have an improvement plan? And do you have a knowledge plan? So I would encourage you to write that down. Hey, I do have some more time. I want to look at my physical plan. I want to look at my business, and I want to have a plan for improvement, and I want to have a plan to gain knowledge, right? And then the third thing that I think you can do in the off season,
real quick,
yes,
Glenn, before you jump off that, plan to gain knowledge. And I could say this with absolute confidence and passion, that the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel is just a must for every mortgage professional. It's not because I'm the founder of it and I put so much love into it. It's because of all the amazing leaders and loan officers and people that are part of that. So I just can't, and I hear stories every day where someone comes up, new loan officers. I learned so much from the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. So I would just push everybody at least an hour a day. By the way, not at least an hour a day, hour a week. So at least an hour a week, just replace a little Netflix time with the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. Now for brand new loan officers, it's your first 6 months of the business. Yeah, hour a day. You should look at the content that your mentor thinks you should watch, and you should come up with a weekly playlist. And there are other great resources, but just make sure the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel is a constant source of training and inspiration. I just posted in our Facebook group little picture. I made the cover story, the YouTube channel, and make sure you share it with your mortgage friends. So sorry, Glenn, just needed to get in there and push the Netflix for loan officers YouTube channel.
I love it. And look at, this is why we're here, right? And there may be people that didn't think about it. And I guarantee you this, there is $100,000 worth of income in your YouTube channel for a loan originator that wants to engage with it. Literally, there's money sitting there, not only for loan originators, but for, I mean, there's so much relatable information, Dave, that you have created and put on YouTube that it makes you money. Every time I jump in there, every time I pull up a video, I take one or two ideas and I make money. So the bottom line is there's money on that YouTube channel. And I think it's great that you did that. I want to go to number 3, which really is new opportunities. You know, when you think about the offseason and free agency in the football realm, and I'm going to get to your thoughts on offseason, Gary.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are people looking around for other opportunities on other teams. Now, I'm not saying leave your team, but if you're a loan originator that feels like you're in the wrong place and on the wrong team, the offseason's the time to start engaging and looking at other companies and looking at other people that maybe could help foster your growth and foster your success. I never want to encourage anybody to leave. You're not here. I'm not here to ruin companies or whatever. But let me tell you, if you're a low producer, chances are your leaders are hoping, if you don't think they're finding new opportunities with new loan originators, you're crazy. So I just want to keep that in mind. If you're not in a place where you feel like you're thriving and successful, you need to go find other opportunities and look for that. And then in the off season, the off season's going to end, and that's going to end December 31st in the fourth quarter. You better be primed in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, and physically to show up and be ready to compete. I know that when football players go into training camp, you better be at peak performance. Like, you should never be in better shape than the day you walk on for day 1 of training camp. So the question is going to be, on January 1 or January 4th, whenever you start your year, are you in peak shape and are you ready to show up in a manner that you are going to tackle 2023 and make things happen? So Gary, when you think about the off season, you're in the pros, I think, for 7 or 8 years. Talk to us about your philosophy in the off season and what that means to you.
You tried to cheat me, Glenn. It was 9 years. I'm going to take all my years. But 9 years, the first thing, the rest portion was critical. And what I found later in my career was that there was this thing of active rest, where you're still resting, but instead of just, sitting around, drinking a bunch of adult beverages, gaining a bunch of weight, it was active rest. It was hiking. It was cycling. It was getting massages. It was taking care of my body, because I knew what I was about to engage in to get myself ready. I wanted to get mentally clear on that. And so sometimes when people rest and they shut it down, they almost need another 2 weeks to get caught back up, right? So I think it's important, active rest, and figuring out, like, what things can you work on actively that need to heal so you can come back at your best.
Cool.
The next thing I would say is this. Every off season, I would watch film. I had the same routine. I would watch every game from beginning to end, and I would grade myself. And then I will figure out what areas were I good in and what areas that I need to improve. And all off season, I wanted to double down on my strengths, and then I also wanted to work on my weaknesses. I can remember one off season, it was like in this one coverage, I had to cover tight ends. Now I could cover running backs, but tight ends, they run 30-yard routes down the field, right? And it's a different ball game. So this off season, I said, you know what? I have to get better at this. So I paid someone who was like in college to run routes against me with a quarterback, just so I could get more comfortable when I got into that position during the season. So again, when you're measuring, when you're reviewing the tape, when you're looking back at your metrics, is it marketing? Is it being comfortable on camera? What's that one thing? What's your one Achilles heel that you're struggling with? And when you talk about that development plan, don't the development plan, you're just reading random books and random information. Oh, what's a good book to read? No, the question isn't what's a good book to read. The question is, where do I have a gap in? And what area of knowledge do I need to fill that gap? That's the book you need to get. And I think that's so important when people start being specific about their knowledge and specific about what their training is going to be in the off season. It really leads to more success during the regular season.
And Gary, I think, I don't want anybody to miss this, but doubling down on your strengths, guys. Look at a lot of you guys are doing great stuff.
Yeah.
You need to double down on what you do great. We're almost out of time. I want to go to my second thing, which I termed playoff run, right? We know in December in the football world, it's crunch time. Wins and losses mean that you're either playing or not playing in the playoffs. And when you're in the playoffs, losses mean you're not playing anymore. And so I have a couple things that I wanted to go through, but I think the point that I'm just going to hit on now is what would happen if you were told you're no longer going to work in the mortgage business if you don't get 5 new loans this month? Because that is exactly what Gary and the people in the NFL face as their team. You set goals in the mortgage world. You may be a regional manager or an office manager, and you got your goal of 20. But you know what? If you don't hit that goal, everybody's going to get fired, and you're never going to be able to do loans again for that company. When Gary walks into playoff time, the playoff run-up time, and when he's in the playoffs, and if you lose, you're done. You're done for the season. And so what I want you to do in this fourth quarter is to tap into that sense of urgency that I got to go out and win now. And losing is unacceptable. And I think what you'll find is a new sense of creation, a new sense of energy. Maybe you tell yourself, I'm not going to allow myself to be in the mortgage business if I don't get 5 loans this month. And you can lie to yourself. It's okay. I used to lie to myself as a young sales associate all the time. And it's okay and it's healthy. But are you putting a sense of urgency into your business? That's the real question. What's your mentality going into these next 8 weeks? Gary, do you want to speak to that? Oh, I knew that would get Dave. I knew it would get him, Dave. Go ahead.
We're running out of time, so I'm only going to do a minute, guys. But I'm going to brag a little bit. So Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang, we closed, means we won more brands this quarter than any quarter in the history of Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang. 22 companies signed contracts with us committing to reoccurring payments. We closed 12 deals this month, and we closed 5 on the last day of the month. You know what? And here's the deal. I thought I was a good CEO and a good leader. We brought in Rich Harris, who is a spectacular CEO. And I worked harder this quarter than I've ever worked before. The team worked harder than ever before. Guys, it was about leadership. Like one man, one woman that knows how to drive a team, give clear purpose and goals, push hard, makes a difference. And the thing I would leave you all with, are you executing like that? Now Rich, he knows he's that guy. I mean, we brought him on as our CEO because we knew who we had, but once you know there's a gear better than you, get there. Like everybody can do better. So anyways, I just wanted to brag, and 2, just to push y'all guys, you can do better. Let's close this quarter strong. So I'm not going to jump back on. I'll let you 2 wrap it up, and just love this conversation. I got a lot of value personally.
Thanks, Dave. Gary, talk to us real quick about your experience in playoff or urgency or do or die. What's your thought on that?
First, congrats to Dave, right? That's huge, biggest month.
Yeah, Dave.
Coach, thank you, man. Kudos to you. That's amazing. I think he hit the nail on the head. We talked about association. And I know you're going to touch on this, but associating yourself with winners, whether it be coaches, whether it be teammates, whatever it is, but getting around like-minded people, getting around energy that's like growth-minded is contagious. And anytime, it was about momentum for us, Glenn. Heading into the fourth quarter, we wanted to tap into that momentum. And it was all about who gets hot in the fourth quarter. And I think it's about surrounding yourself with the right people, having that right knowledge plan in place, and really just like you said, doing the work consistently. And that's what reaped the biggest results for us.
I love it. From the great Jim Rohn, he used to ask the questions, why not me? Why not now? Right. But he also asked some questions that I really thought about association. And that's the third thing I want to talk about is this thing called increased association, right? Who am I hanging around? Number two, what do they have me doing? What do they have me reading? What do they have me saying? What do they have me listening to? And the third question is that okay? And if it's not okay, there's three answers to those association questions. Number one, there is disassociation. Who in your life must you disassociate with in this fourth quarter to get where you want to be? Who must I limit my association with? There are people I'm sure you love, that you like, that you hang out with, but they're wasting your time. They are clouding your judgment. They are casting a fog on your destiny. And you need to limit your association from once a day to maybe once a month, or from once a week to once a quarter. And then there's this thing that's the most life-changing advice I got, called increased association. And I think to leave the call, what I want to challenge everyone in this mortgage coach community to do is to send Dave, or to DM me, or to put it in chat. I want you to write down 10 people who you are going to increase your association with. And maybe it's just being on these mortgage coach calls. And maybe it's, I'm going to increase my association with the 3 most successful realtors in my market. Now, these realtors may never want to use you, but there are ways to engage them. You can interview them. You can do Facebook Lives. You can offer to take them to lunch. They may or may not want to because they don't have any time. But if you figure out how to promote the 3 biggest real estate agents in your market, they will give you time. And the more you increase your association with those top 3 brokers, you're going to be better off. The other thing I would do would be find the top 3 loan originators in your market who are kicking your ass right now. And I would find out what they're doing, have a mentor copy them. I would be humble enough to try to increase your engagement with those loan originators, or limit your association, or influencers. I don't know, somebody's got their mic on. The third type of person I would try to get with are marketers and influencers. I would try to go and do a social audit of what realtors, loan originators, or marketing people are crushing it in your market. And I would either go to their seminars, learn about them, call them, interview them, do whatever you can. And then the fourth people I would say is find out a coach or somebody that you identify with who you really think can push you forward. A shameless plug for Gary and I, our Playmaker, Order Maker to Playmaker seminar and webinars will be coming out. We're going to ask Dave to push them. But if you feel like you like Gary and myself, we would love to help you from a different perspective. You know, sometimes it's good to get a different perspective in coaching, but I'm confident if you spend time and go through what we're going to put you through, your loans will go up. I don't care what the rates are. But who are the 10 people in your life you want to increase your association with? And make that a goal for the fourth quarter. I promise you, I coached one guy. He knew a bunch of millionaires. I said, go have lunch with 10 millionaires. Guess what? His income went up in the next quarter. Amazing. Pretty simple stuff. Gary, last thoughts to close this out, and then we'll close it on down.
Man, I really love that mindset about getting around like-minded people, getting around the competition that's doing better than you. It's so oftentimes people want to get around people that's doing worse than them and almost like show off and brag. And I've always thought that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So that's a great encouragement by getting yourself in rooms where people that's smarter than you, that's doing more than you, that's bigger than you, more experience. That's only going to help you grow.
I love it. Very good. Gary, thank you so much. Dave, I think
you guys,
that's a wrap for our fourth quarter talk. Hopefully the content that we continue to bring is original. It's something that the mortgage coach community feels like is new and it's refreshing. And we're just honored to be a part of your community. And if we can help you or your company, please reach out to us. We would love to come work with you personally.
So grateful for both of you to make this time. You know, anybody in this community, these are two guys that you want to have speak at your sales rallies. You want to follow on social media. You want to invest your time and energy in. They will make you better. They'll make you a better human being. They'll make you a more successful business athlete. And that's what you need to be in this market. You need to be a business athlete to kill it in a market like this. So if you did get value from this, give it a like. You know, make sure you're following the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. Make sure you're following both of these gentlemen. And then my closing thought that you guys gave me an idea is that, you know, we need to do a better job at sales meetings, not just putting up who's closing the most loans. You know, let's drill down on who's got the best conversion rates. Let's drill down on who's getting the most loans out of their database. Let's drill down on the metrics that drive sustainable success. So get out there, do some sales meetings. If you're a manager or leader, your leadership makes a difference. The quality of your sales meetings makes a difference. The way you show up for your team makes a difference. One leader can make a difference in a market like this. So the way you show up for realtors makes a difference. Let's get after it. This is a wrap. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. God bless everybody. Gary, I'll be in touch, buddy. Tom, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for staying on.
I tell you what, it's relevant to any business. Thanks so much. You guys hit home runs for me. Thanks.
All right, buddy.
You're welcome. All right,
We'll
brother.
be in touch.